How do you find and attract the right people to work in your business? When you find those people, how do you confirm that they are the right people? So the interview process, the recruitment process itself. Then when you have interviewed somebody and you confirm that that person is the right person for you, there's a critical step that people miss: onboarding. The onboarding of a new employee is your first major opportunity to make a good first impression, and many people fail it. If you think about it, there are sometimes we hire somebody and the first day the person resumes at work, all we just say to the person is, that is your desk. You know, that's where you sit, and that's it. Work starts. Put yourself in that person's shoes. You have just shown up in a new environment that is not familiar. You don't know what to do. You don't know what to say. You don't know what is acceptable. You don't know what is not acceptable. It's like you're walking on eggshells. It's very uncomfortable for new employees. And many of them go through that baptism of fire. It's very uncomfortable for them. And guess what they do? Guess what they do? For those ones who survive that uncomfortable onboarding, when new employees come, do you know what the old people do? Many times they make them go through the same thing. A new person comes, they ignore the person. They treat the person like an outcast. Why? That's what happened to me when I started. So you also go through your own baptism of fire. So that person shows up at work, they ignore the person. You know, it's a bit uncomfortable for the first couple of days, up to a week, and then before the person gets accepted. That is a weakness in the leadership, because you are the leader and you're supposed to set the tone. So one form of onboarding for different businesses different businesses have their own approach. Some people take you into an onboarding program. They might call it training, they might call it an introduction, they might call it whatever. Within the first 1 to 3 days or a couple of weeks, I know in places where I worked, in PwC back then, it was about a month plus. During that time, you are not really in touch with other employees. They take that time to properly brainwash you into the business. They brainwash you into the company. So even if there's a toxic culture already in the business, that time you have to onboard your people. You use it to brainwash them. You use it to format them to the specs of the business. That's when you tell them about the mission of your company. This is what we're about. These are the products that we have. These are our major customers. These are the kinds of customers that we serve. This is the vision for the company. In the next 10 to 15 years, this is where we plan to be. More importantly, these are our values. This is why we hired you. Here we have 5 core values: excellence, boldness, integrity. You go tell them about your values. Tell them about yourself. That's when they know they understand the history of the company. I started this company when I just finished university. And you know, I started from one location, and then now we're now this big company. You take them through the history of the company. You acquaint them with the environment, right? That's when it's done. Then you allow them ask questions. You play with scenarios. If you find yourself in this situation, this is what goes on. More importantly, you introduce them to the hard side of your structure. These are the processes that we have here. If you're going to work in sales, this is what you do. If this happens to you, report to your supervisor or do this. This is how we communicate. We use WhatsApp. In this scenario, use WhatsApp, don't use email. In this scenario, make a phone call, don't use WhatsApp. You use that onboarding time to properly, I'm using brainwash because I want to make it relatable to you, right? That's the time you use to get your new people on board. You fire them up. You make them excited to work for the company. So the first few days or the first 1 week, they're not doing any real work. And this is an important investment that pays off. You spend that time to onboard them, get them to more or less introduce them to the culture of the company. And then you introduce them to the rest of the employees. You will start with their departments. This is your supervisor, this is your manager, these are your other employees. You get everybody together and you introduce them. This is Bimbo, this is Mike, this is Emeka. He just joined us. He'll be working in operations. Please give him all your support. Everybody claps. And all that weirdness and uncomfortable situations that will usually happen goes. And do you know what happens? If you do this consistently, a time will come, it now becomes part of the culture. Your culture now becomes a culture where when new people join us, we welcome them. We meet them. We don't treat them as outcasts. We take them in. You know, so this is how you can more or less start to build elements of your culture. So how did I get here? I was talking about the process for people, how you find people, recruitment. After recruitment is onboarding. After onboarding, they are now working for you. So it's about managing them, motivating them. There are two components. One component is deliver what you promised. There's a sales contract. There's an employment contract. They work for you under certain terms. You pay them and do certain things for them. There's that part. The other part is keeping them motivated. You can be paying somebody well, meeting the terms of the employment contract, but they might quit on you because they don't find the work challenging enough, because they don't find the culture appropriate for them. There are many reasons why people can quit. Motivating your employees is another topic on its own. So keeping your people motivated, that's another part. Like I said, I hope I get the chance to talk about it. Then when people exit, there has to be a process for exiting people. When you don't have a proper exit process, I've had instances where I've been called to fight fires. A business noticed that they were losing customers. Do you know what happened? One of their employees left with their database, names of customers, phone numbers, how much the customers had spent. You know, very private and intimate details of your business. The customer left. We couldn't really take legal action because, again, there was no employment contract. This was all just talk mouth. There was nothing about those clauses in there. All the non-disclosures and all those important clauses. There was no contract to start with. So all those things that would have protected the business, they were not there. Something else, the exit process did not happen properly. Somebody is leaving the business disgruntled. Somebody is leaving your business angry. And they are looking for how to hit back at you because they feel they were unfairly treated. And because you didn't have an exit process, that person had enough time to dig up and grab your customer database, and now is harming the business. And that's because you didn't pay attention to exit. So there's an entire process for people. How you find them, how you recruit them, how you onboard them, how you manage them, how you motivate them, and how you exit them. It's a full life cycle. And if you make any mistake in any of these parts, you might end up hiring people and losing them. You might end up hiring people who only do eye service. They only work when you're there, but they're not giving their best. You may end up hiring people who don't have a sense of ownership in your company. You may end up hiring people who work like mercenaries. They only work for you for money. The moment the business has any problem or trouble, they leave you.